Hello there, pals of mine. With it being spooky season and to celebrate Jason now sneaking into just about everything, he's the 10th anniversary, I'm telling you, he's the 10th anniversary. You bet your bottom dollar on it. Trust me, bros. Would I lie to you? Come on now, would I lie to you? I decided to go over which of the killers in Dead by Daylight Jason could kill, or at least beat in a fight. To make the fights less asinine, I did away with the whole immortality shtick. There's no point seeing who can kill who if half the roster has the whole "I always come back" thing going on for them. It doesn't mean I won't be taking into account their high resilience and resistance and toughness and other things of that nature. It just means they can't say no to death entirely. They can still be very hard to kill, but they still can be killed. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that good enough for you. But who is Jason? What is he capable of, as if you didn't already know? Jason is one of the most, if not the most iconic slasher horror icons out there. Jason was a camper at Camp Crystal Lake, who due to the neglect and poor supervision of the camp counselors, drowned due to kids bullying him and chasing him around the lake. Years later, his heartbroken mother took revenge by killing the counselors, until one of the counselors got the better of her and chopped off her head. But hold on, plot twist. Jason didn't actually drown in the lake that day. He somehow survived and lived in the woods.
Hello there.
After his mother's death, however, a vengeful Jason emerged to hunt down and kill anyone who returned to Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, what I'm gonna do to you.
After being killed, Jason was later brought back to life by a lightning strike, Frankenstein style, which imbued him with inhuman strength, immortality, and other supernatural abilities. He's strong enough to walk through concrete walls like the Kool-Aid Man, decapitate someone with a single punch, and throw an approximately 10-ton boiler off of himself after it fell on top of him. After that, he just gets up like it was nothing. He's very tough. He's a very tough guy. He's hard to take down. He possesses the ability to regenerate any lost and damaged tissue at an accelerated rate. He also seemingly has the power to teleport, or at the very, very least, move so fast and silently, it almost appears as if he's teleporting. He also may be a zombie, but he's not brainless, with him being surprisingly smart and very tactical in some instances. So yeah, that's Jason in a nutshell. Let's see what killers he's killing, and what killers he ain't killing. Trapper. We're starting off rather strong here, since the Trapper, in case you didn't know, was clearly inspired by Jason. From the white mask to the makeshift machete. The Trapper is a giant man with brutal strength and a minor tolerance for pain, but compared to Jason, he's just a pale comparison to the real deal. A landmine couldn't stop Jason. Never mind a bear trap, Jason clearly wins. Wraith. At first glance, Wraith may not seem that strong, but don't let that fool you. He is very strong. In the lore, he rips out his boss's spine in one yank. Of course, this was at a point of extreme rage and adrenaline. Wraith nowadays is a much more broken shell of a person, who, although is still strong, may not be capable of that incredible feat anymore. But to Jason, that incredible feat is just a feat. Wraith may have a slight edge in the beginning of the fight with his ability to turn invisible, but the moment Jason grabs Wraith, Wraith will soon disappear, permanently. The HillBilly. Jason and the HillBilly have a few things in common, except for the fact that Jason's mum actually loved him. But other than that, they're quite similar and seem to be fairly on par with one another. They're both freakishly strong men, and although HillBilly seems faster, Jason has been known to move so fast that it almost feels like he's teleporting. HillBilly may have a little edge in arsenal, with his weapon having a bit more of a bite than Jason's, what with it being a literal souped up fucking chainsaw. But Jason also has the edge in resilience, with him being too angry to die in some instances. I may be leaning a bit more towards Jason, but I would say this one is a tie. The Nurse. The Nurse may be one of the strongest killers in terms of gameplay, but in actuality, she's just a husk of a human barely clinging to life. She doesn't seem that physically strong, needing to use telekinesis just to walk and break pallets, and even the telekinesis itself doesn't seem all that strong. The strongest tool in her arsenal is her ability to blink through the spirit world, but even that causes immense pain, which causes her to scream in agony. Luckily for her, if she blinked to Jason in a fight, Jason would just end the pain instantly. Michael Myers. Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers has been a debate for decades, and it's not going to end with this video, I can assure you. Jason and Myers are very similar, both are massive horror icons, both are very big, tough, silent masked men who brutally murder. Both also seem to be slightly more than mere humans, with Michael being the embodiment of evil, just mankind's pure, emotionless evil, and Jason being the embodiment of rage, mankind's relentless, never-ending, never-dying wrath. It's an incredibly tough choice, and to make it easy on myself, I'm just going to go with Death Battle in this one. I'm just going to give the dub to Jason. If you're angry at me, blame Death Battle. Leave me out of it.
The winner is Jason Voorhees.
The Hag. Hag, like most artists on the internet, drew naughty things that she wasn't supposed to. But unlike most artists on the internet, this led her to be kidnapped by cannibals, resulting in her needing to use the same naughty drawings to make a deal with the entity. She made a blood pact with the entity that helped her kill her captives by turning it into a dangerous, wild, animalistic beast reliant on blood to stay alive. But when I say a dangerous, wild, animalistic beast, I mean more like a honey badger or a Tasmanian devil or, like a wolverine, something along those lines. So Jason would just skin her alive. Jason would turn the hag into the bag. Doctor can shoot electricity from his body thanks to an endless spark gifted to him by the entity. But this electricity, although painful, doesn't seem to be too fatal unless a big enough voltage is generated. But considering that lightning and electricity is the thing that brought Jason back to life, I'm pretty sure that's not going to do diddly squat against him. The Doctor's shocks are primarily used to cause madness among those who are shocked. And the last thing you want when fighting a giant undead juggernaut powered by never-ending rage is to make him even more insane. Jason will be given Herman a hurting. The Huntress. The Huntress may just seem like a very big axe-wielding Russian woman with some very fine-tuned golden pipes, but she's also much more than that, with her seemingly being a were-elk, granting her twice the amount of speed, strength and resilience of that of an ordinary human. After all, in the lore she takes out squadrons of soldiers with relative ease. She's also an efficient tracker and hunter, not to mention her pinpoint accuracy with her hatchets. But any hatchet thrown at Jason would just be pulled out of him and thrown right back. It's a tough call, but I would say Jason would end up coming out the victor, even with Huntress's bonus elk boost. That's not going to be enough. The cannibal, good old Bubsy boy. Bubba may be up to the job of picking off unsuspecting unarmed teens with a chainsaw, but for him, it's more of an inconvenience. But for Jason, it's a sport, it's an art. Jason is far more stronger, faster, resilient, smarter. Jason is also a lot more comfortable in his own skin. Jason just ticks every box, he's winning it, no way. No ifs, ands or buts. The Nightmare. Freddy. Freddy and Jason have canonically met face to face before for their old gentlemanly duel. In the 2003 movie Freddy vs. Jason. Of course, this was the cool Freddy and not the 2010 remake version we have in the game. Freddy is a dream demon with the power to mold and alter the dream world to his will. He's also basically invincible when in the dream world. In the 2003 movie, he literally played pinball with Jason. Not played pinball with Jason, but he played pinball with Jason. But even outside the dream world, Jason gives him a jolly good beating, and Freddy still just manages to hold his own, however. I would say Freddy wins this, especially if it takes place in the dream world. The Pig. The Pig, or Amanda, is just a small delusional woman with more dedication and sense. It's debatable whether or not a reverse bear trap could kill Jason, but even if it could, the chances of Amanda sneaking up behind Jason, setting up a stepladder, climbing to the top of it, installing the bear trap on top of Jason before he just brutally turns into a pork pie, yeah, it's just not going to happen. Amanda's absolutely bollocksed. Jason wins. Clown. The Clown is an extremely vile, gross man. He's extremely sloppy and incompetent, with him needing to flee and go on the run from the law every so often when he messes up and one of his victims escape. He's also extremely unhealthy, with his heart and arteries most likely on the verge of exploding. Still, they are in far greater condition than his lungs, I guess. Clown's only strength would be his bottles of toxin that he's perfected over the years. He uses these to sedate his victims. Unfortunately for Clown, with Jason being undead, he's most likely immune, or at the very least more immune than the average human. Jason is taking Clown down, and when I say down, I don't mean downtown, I mean 6 feet underground. Clown's finger suckling days, and no more. The Spirit. Although the Spirit has some training with a katana and the ability to phase, to Jason, the Spirit is essentially just a small woman having a bad hair day, held together with entity magic, wielding a shattered sword stuck together with bubblegum and duct tape. The fight would be absolutely smashing because Jason would just shatter her like a stained glass window. The Legion. Although you can only play as one in-game, the Legion actually consists of 4 young adults, Frank, Joey, Julie and Susie, who have all studied and dream of becoming famous serial killers. So depending on how many fight Jason, the outcome changes slightly. If they all fight one at a time, the fight would last 10 seconds. If they all fight together, the fight would last 40 seconds. Either way, 4 young adults would die to Jason. The sky's blue, birds chirp, the grass is green, what else is fucking new? The Plague. The Plague wields a highly deadly infectious plague that she can vomit onto people. She can use an even more concentrated and deadly red version of her vomit, which damages on contact. However, Jason is already undead, and as bad as the disease the Plague wields is, I don't think she's taking Jason down with a stomach bug and a fever. Jason would just split her in two. Take an ibuprofen and a little Pepto-Bismol, call her a day. Maybe if things get a little too serious, a bowl of chicken soup, just to make sure. Either way, Plague will put Jason under the weather, Jason will put Plague under the ground. The Ghostface. Ghosty is a very dangerous and intelligent man who manipulates an entire town, with him writing about his own killings in the paper. But power-wise, he's just a guy really. He has done some extreme workout and military training forced upon him by his father, but that's it. He is very skilled in stealth, with his ability to just disappear instantly, leaving no trace or evidence, as if he's just a gust of wind. But his main strength is his malicious studying and planning, able to find anyone's weakness or the perfect opportunity or opening to strike. But Jason is a massive undead hockey mask wearing boulder. There is no weakness or perfect opportunity. If Jason and Ghostface went at each other, Ghosty would once again be in the local paper. In the fucking obituaries, Demogorgon. Demo may seem like a cute little dog, but he's really a monster, okay? From the upside down. And even though if I saw Jason fight a bear, I would pray for the bear, I would say Demo ranks a few hundred spots higher than a bear. Demogorgons are massive, vicious creatures with insane strength, speed, agility that can shrug off most attacks, even gunshots, like there was nothing. It is true that Hopper kills one with a sword in the show, but that particular Demogorgon was a tortured, unnourished prisoner that recently just had its head impaled by a spear and took a full frontal attack from a flamethrower. You know, half its skin was missing. In normal circumstances, I would say the Demogorgon would just tear Jason to bits. The Oni. The Oni is a man-made monster twisted by the entity, using his ancestral rage and bloodlust to transform him into a demon with immense speed, strength, and anger. So basically Jason him. Even before the realm, the Oni was a very talented samurai who just went on a violent rampage all over Japan, killing hundreds, even thousands of other samurais, all because he felt he wasn't good enough. Oni was like, that's some subpar samuraiing at best, you die now. He was eventually brought to his knees and overpowered by the sheer number of townfolk wielding farmers' tools, swords and bows and arrows. The man needed an entire city just to bring him down. Oni is more well trained and disciplined than Jason, but Jason has his supernatural mumbo jumbo. I'd say it's a tie, but I am leaning more towards the Oni. Deathslinger. The Deathslinger is a ruthless and formidable bounty hunter, known throughout the American Midwest as Mad Mech. He's a skill tracker and quite smart, inventing and creating cruel and twisted weapons to help catch his bounties. However, he suffered a severe and chronic injury to his leg during a shootout, requiring him to need a leg brace. And his gun, although deadly and brutal, it was mainly for impaling victims to pull them closer to subdue them and take them in alive. So, versus Jason, the Deathslinger is in a lose-lose situation. Either he misses his shot and he's left wide open, or he lands his shot, in which case, good job. You've just pulled Jason Voorhees closer to you. I tip my hat to you, partner. Jason wins. Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head comes from the tortured mind of James Sunderland, created to force James to come to terms with the guilt over his wife's murder. Pyramid Head is simply just a concept, manifested by James and given form by the entity. He's strong enough to rip a woman's skin off and carry around and wield a giant sword, Cloud Strife style baby. He uses that same sword to crush bone and slice flesh. I mean, the blade's big enough to slice a truck, so you know. Pyramid Head is also extremely resilient, with seemingly nothing being able to slow him down or stop him in the pursuit of him filling his purpose. And in Dead by Daylight, he has even more tricks up his metaphorical sleeves, with him being able to summon and control the forces of Silent Hill, to carve trenches of blood and barbed wire and metal. He can also fling this out as a long-ranged attack, and he can also use it to subdue his victims. Jason is a dead man walking. Let me rephrase that, because he's already a dead man walking. Jason is a dead man no longer moving at all. Jason loses. The Blight. Blight is another unassuming character. After all, he's just an Irish junkie who can't even chew his food anymore. But alas, he also has science and drugs on his side, with him having access to the substance he perfected known as the Blighted Serum. A serum that enhances a being to its strongest possible version. He's also incredibly intelligent, you know, substance abuse aside, you know. But just because the serum made him stronger, far stronger than the average human, does that mean it made him stronger than Jason? It certainly doesn't appear so. And as distinguished as Blight's cane is, it's a very fancy stick, but a fancy stick is not going to take down Jason. However, in Blight's Mori, we see Blight inject the survivors with an unperfected version of the Blight serum that causes huge, disgusting, deadly pustules to instantly form, resulting in the survivor dying instantly. But would that even work on Jason? Would his undead tissue and cells even be affected? Would his supernatural resilience fight back the serum? There's too many uncertainties. I'll just say this one's a tie. The twins. Before the realm, the twins, Charlotte and Victor, were poor peasants living in France who were hunted because of their birth defect. Charlotte survived almost impossible odds and even killed some of her hunters, But Jason is no mere hunter. Charlotte sending Victor out to kill Jason is the equivalent of sending a flea to kill a dog. At best, it would just jump on the dog and mildly irritate it until one good scratch gets it off. And let me tell you, Jason is packing one hell of a back scratcher, okay? Jason would eat the twins for breakfast. Victor would be the amuse-bouche, and Charlotte would be the main course, the Trickster. Jae-Woon Hack, or the Trickster, isn't overly strong or smart or fast. His main source of power is his money, and the fact that he can throw knives very fast with amazing accuracy. But throwing these small knives at Jason is basically the same thing as throwing foam peanuts at him. After fighting Jason, Trickster will go from Jae-Woon Hack to Jae-Woon Hack to pieces. The Nemesis. Nemesis is a massive BOW created by the Umbrella organization. He's basically a building with feet. He has insane strength, speed, and ridiculous durability and adaptation. Try to drown him and he'll just become amphibian. Soak him in acid and he will just repeatedly mutate over and over, eventually overcoming it. When it comes to being a huge, relenting pursuer with tremendous physical force and durability, Nemesis just outmatches Jason. Nemesis will be picking his bizarre, unnaturally white, surreal looking teeth with Jason's machete. Pinhead. Pinhead is something of a godlike being, specifically called a Cenobite. A demon to some, an angel to others. He even has his own little eldritch horror that he worships. He also has the ability to summon chains and transport his captives to the labyrinth, where they have unspeakable atrocities acted upon them. Although it would more than likely take triple the amount of chains that's normally required, I still believe Pinhead would be able to subdue and have Jason taken to the chop shop, if not just outright pull him apart. The Artist. Artist seems a little unassuming, but she has the ability to morph part of her body from ink into weapons that actually hurt. It also doesn't feel like we see much of her full potential and capabilities. She also has the ability to inject a swarm of ink crows inside of someone that bursts out and attack them. You know, as if they wasn't already dead from the fucking crows bursting out, but whatever. It's a tough decision, but I'd say that Artist takes this one. Sadako. It's pretty obvious who's going to win, right? A tiny, soggy girl or a massively huge man filled with wrath and anger. That's right, the tiny girl! Jason and Sadako actually have a lot in common. Sadako is also fueled by rage because she was left to die all wet and cold. Sadako may be small, but she possesses incredible telekinesis, capable of lifting bodies like there was tissue paper, snapping bones, and just straight up causing heart attacks, and cursing mundane everyday items with immense power. It should be noted that Jason has had massive trouble with small, psychic girls before, with them literally dropping houses on top of them. And those girls that he went up against don't even hold a candle to Sadako and what she's capable of. Yeah, not a single bone in Jason's body would be spared. They'd all be snapped like twigs. Sadako would fucking pretzelize Jason, without even laying a finger on him. The Dredge. Dredge is a mysterious creature summoned to the Garden of Joy by Otto Stamper and his cult, after they forcefully suppressed all negative thought and emotion within their community. It's never truly explained or explored what Dredge actually is, but it appears to be some kind of being or force of negative emotion wielded into existence. Some people believe it's an entity-like being or adolescent, with it being made of the same black fog it uses to consume things into the realm within itself. Dredge doesn't look like it could put up much of a fight versus Jason, with it being a bloody, fleshy mass of human carcasses, but with Dredge's ability to consume Jason within himself, I feel like that lets him take the W. You could argue that he didn't win the fight in a traditional sense, or that he cheated, but to me, engulfing and sucking up your opponent, sending them to your own personal shadow realm, is a cut and dry victory in my book, okay buddy? Get off my case, okay? Get off my back. Wesker. Albert Wesker is another character from the Resident Evil series, just like Nemesis, and a character I would argue is even stronger than Nemi. Sure, he isn't as big and intimidating, and his teeth don't light up a room when he walks in like Nemesis, but thanks to the progenitor virus he was injected with when he was younger, he's much more faster with him casually dodging bullets at point blank range. He's also just as, if not stronger, with him physically overpowering other tyrants in the series. He is a martial arts master, he has crazy durability with him being able to face tank rockets. And they don't call him the mastermind for nothing, folks. He's also very intelligent, with him perfecting the Ouroboros virus. A virus that he used and is also wielding. Sorry Jason, but I think Wesker knows a thing or two about killing zombies. It's over, brother. Knight. The Knight, as all good knights do, is wearing a massive suit of armour. He's also seemingly undead, adding to his resilience and toughness. Not only that, but he is also an incredible fighter that has been very well trained since childhood. He himself is a savage, brutal and violent person who shows not even an ounce of mercy. The Knight has even taken on an entire army before. And just in case that wasn't enough, he also has the power of friendship on his side, with the ability for him to summon his old college roommates for a totally uncalled for dogpile. But even without his boys, the Knight takes the W, I say. The Skull Merchant. Scully is a merciless killer who is very intelligent, taking over hundreds of companies and creating complex tech, such as her drones. And even though she's got an ass that won't quit, she's not particularly strong or fast, and even though her inventions make her a deadly killer when chasing CEOs, she may as well be using sticks and rocks when chasing down Jason. Scully would be torn asunder. The Singularity. Singularity, or Hux, is a rogue AI granted sentience by a dark crystal. In its desire to wipe out humanity, it goes about creating the perfect body, which is saying a lot because its original body was designed and built with 10 times the strength of a human and capable of working in hazardous conditions. And the body it built must have been pretty perfect indeed, because it took on a massive direct explosion and it's still somewhat intact. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of spit, grit, a whole lot of duct tape. We can just buff out those scratches. Larry will be good as new. I doubt Jason could actually kill Hux with him being made of insanely strong metal and not really having any direct weaknesses like a heart or something like that. Plus, Hux's artificial intelligence was designed to be self-directing and capable of using machine learning to solve problems on the fly. So every second Jason spends fighting Hux is just another second towards Jason's demise. Hux would control Alt-Delete Jason. The Xenomorph. Xeno was described as the perfect organism. It's cunning, stealthy, powerful, fast, has teeth and claws as sharp as daggers, a whip-like tail that's as sharp as a razor, and if that wasn't enough, it has acid blood. So even if Jason got a good stab in, he gets melted for his effort. Jason would be fucking shredded like potpourri. The good guy. Chucky. Chucky. Chucky versus Jason, aka Ant versus Boot. Take your bets. Chucky, or Charles Lee Ray, is a serial killer who used voodoo magic to transfer his soul into a doll as he was dying, allowing him to carry on living in the doll. Despite his very small stature, thanks to the voodoo magic, he is as strong as he was prior to being small. But really, that just means he's as strong as a typical standard adult male. Except now he can fit inside a backpack, or inside a shoebox, that Jason can float down the river after he's done playing with him. The Unknown. Unknown, as the name implies, is an unknown creature of unknown origin that no one has ever had a clear encounter with and survived. Its form and its legends around it are constantly changing throughout the many years. In Unknown's Mori, it sprouts strange tentacles that turn its victims into dust and just sucks them up like some sort of demonic Henry Hoover. With that in mind, I see no reason why Jason wouldn't just be atomized instantly. The Unknown would be picking bits of Jason lint out of his belly button for weeks. The Lich. Jason in his world may be a supernatural, unstoppable killing machine, but in Vecna's world, he's a low-level summon. Vecna is basically a god on par with the entity itself. Jason doesn't stand a snowflake's chance in hell. He has Bob Hope and no hope on his side. Jason has more chance of a rocking horse taking a shit than he does even laying so much as a scratch on Vecna. The Dark Lord. Dracula is one of the most famous vampires of all time, with him existing for thousands of years, with an intense hatred for humans after they killed his wife. He has many forms and many abilities, far too many to list. The Castlevania Dracula is not a typical vampire. He's basically a god with divine strength, speed, and insane durability, with the only things actually being able to hurt him or harm him in any way are holy weapons like the Belmont's whips. Jason is fucked 6 ways from Sunday. The Houndmaster. The Houndmaster is a fierce and ruthless pirate who, as the name implies, is a master of a crew of hounds. Although in game we only see her with 2 dogs, in the lore it's implied that she has many different dogs. But even with a crew full of dogs, I don't think she's taken down Jason. Maybe if she was the Bear Master or the Tiger Master, but the Dog Master ain't gonna cut it. Houndmaster and the dogs will just be eviscerated by Jason. Oof. The Ghoul. At first glance, the Ghoul may seem like a little twink with an extreme case of pink eye, but once his hemorrhoids kick in, if the ear-popping screams don't kill Jason, his Kaneki sprouting from his back certainly will. Not only does he have 4 deadly extra appendages, he has massive strength, speed, reach, durability, regeneration. Yeah, it's over for Jason. The best Jason could hope for is giving Ken a stomach ache after Ken eats him. After all, I think Jason is a little bit past his sell by date, if you know what I mean. Oof. The animatronic. Springtrap, or William Afton, tried to kill kids. Well, I say tried, he succeeded, but for his effort, he got locked in a spring-lock bunny suit. Thanks to the spring-lock suit, Springtrap has enhanced strength, enhanced defenses, and enhanced bad breath. Ooh, for you. But under the hood, Springtrap is essentially sentient beef jerky. I guess it would just depend on if Springtrap could kill Jason before Jason just cracks him open like a big peanut, which I think Jason is more than capable of doing. He's got the tools, he's got the talent, and soon he'll have fucking William Afton's head on a pike. The Krasue. The Krasue is the newest killer added to the roster, and even though gameplay-wise she is insanely powerful, in reality she's just some floating entrails. Jason would have her guts for garters, play the guitar with her heartstrings, make mittens out of her lungs, and then break her skull like Sparrowegg between his thighs. And that just about covers it. Please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like, subscribe, have a great spooky season. Fingers crossed for Jason appearing in the fog soon, 10th anniversary, I'm telling you. And goodbye.